bulk of the spend is in those three buckets. To your point, Michelle, the 70.4 is just the WPS appropriated budget for for FY26. So for level services, what we're carrying is the next column over, two columns over. So the 73.936, Muni is 35.950, and then the unallocated is the 23.66. The overwhelming share of the unallocated is health insurance. And then there's the second largest share is energy. And then, to your point, workers' comp and some of the other categories going unallocated. So I think it's probably fair to think of unallocated as pretty proportional to the WPS and Muni budgets. So, the 56-28% split, that 17 probably splits roughly along the same lines. And as everyone has heard a million times, level services on WPS is at 5, Muni is 3, all the Muni departments are at 3. Unallocated is 15 for health insurance, less for the other things, so it blends out to 12.5.
Yep.
And then the next page, on page 6, little 6, it says, just to walk you through the table, it says, okay, so there's varying levels of free cash you could use. So if you use no free cash, then we're $5.5 million below level services. Of that, you have to allocate $3 million to WPS, and that's just taking 56% of $5.5 million. So their now growth has gone from 5% to 0.65%, 78.72 versus this past year of 74.15. Okay, so it's just splitting that $3,065,000 of below level services, cut below level services, not absolute cut, but cut below level services. 56% to WPS, 28% to Muni. So Muni is 1519 below. So Muni actually does shrink. It's an absolute cut to negative 1.35, and then unallocated is negative 920. So at 916. So that's the 8.1% growth versus the 12.45. And just to take the opposite extreme, let's assume that would be if you use no free cash. Let's assume if you just funded the level services budget as is, that's the $5.5 million, the very bottom row of free cash utilization. You're not below level services at all. So WPS gets the 5% growth, the Muni gets the 3% growth, and the unallocated gets the 12.45. And you pick a number somewhere in the middle, you can see what happens to each of the three budgets.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
The zero free cash use, does that count the reversions that are being used? So that's really a free cash usage.
Correct. Yeah. That's why this is 5.5 versus your number. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's the crux of what we need to get through tonight. So we may not be sharing these slides for the audience, but at least I think we have them in front of us.
As soon as Anthea's here.
As soon as Anthea's here, we can pull them up. So WinCam can grab some pictures if they wish. We can even go back to the start. I don't know if others have spoken to the FinCom chair since last Wednesday's meeting. I did speak with him the next day. Sounds like that $4 million from FinCom is a number that they've been debating. I don't know if there's been a formal vote of FinCom, but obviously they have to consume the manager's budget, then they have to look at other things. But that's a number that they were not willing to support in the spring, certainly, when town meeting approved about $3.5 million. So
I spoke to Derek twice that
since
evening.
That. Okay.
No, twice that evening alone. So I first want to thank Derek in particular as our FinCom chair for his partnership here. And it's also good to see how close in touch the models are to each other. His view, and I appreciate that, is to go out with a zero is, number one, not what town meeting is going to do.
Yep.
And not what WPS is going to suggest. It's probably not, I don't want to speak for the other two members of this board because it's a majority that counts here, to two more members of this board. I doubt we would do that. I wouldn't vote for zero for the municipal side. Let me put it that way. Maybe you guys will outvote me. So if it's something that has no realism to it, his view, and I agree with that, is it's just pointless. It's an academic exercise to suggest zero, right? Because we're not gonna likely see that happen. And so his view is, I don't want to stand up there and advocate for WPS to grow at 0.65 and then the Muni budget to shrink at 1.35 if it has no validity and no chance of passage. If you look at, where we are, we burned about 4 million last year. Maybe it'll come in a little shy of that. I would think of that. So I think about it as probably a range. I think that's probably, to me, the upper bound of the range. I would be, somewhere between 2 and 4 million, and maybe 3 to 4 million of free cash use. And I say that because I think if an override were to fail, I think we have to start to show we're not burning the same level of free cash. We need to start edging that down because we don't know when we would have the opportunity to have another override. So I think 4 is probably the upper bound of what I would suggest, and then we could show people a range of we'll come with 2 to 4 or 3 to 4. That was sort of where my head was, having spoken to Derek, and then having put together the set of numbers, because at 2 to 3 million, WPS is growing at 2.25% to 3%, certainly below what they think they need to even keep level services, but also not a cut, and also not 0%. Muni is more candidly flat, right? Sort of 0.25% growth to 1% growth. So that to me would be the bottom of the range, and then 4 million I thought was a reasonable upper part of the range.
Okay. Anthea, if you're okay, I'm going to call on you last, if that's all right, or unless you want to go now.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Could you just repeat for us maybe when you responded to Stacey's question about whether that includes reversions or not? I don't think I caught that.
Yeah. Yes.
It does.
It does.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mike, I'm going to go you, Bill, me, Anthea. We'll end on this side of the room.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Paris. I think, I'm comfortable in the 4 million range for free cash usage, if that is the question, So, if we're looking for a range of 3 to 4, I'm comfortable there. And I think that's consistent with what the FinCom chair had indicated as well. And, it's our expectation that we're using free cash in these situations. And historically, it's what we've done. And, it makes sense to me. I don't know if I have much more to say other than that.
Okay. Bill?
I think I'm arriving at the same point as other people through different means. I wouldn't support or suggest budgeting anything more than 4 million, because historically we've never spent that much free cash. If 3.5 plus 400 in overlays is what we spent last year, and that was a stretch in a fight, honestly, we can't expect to go much higher than that. If the override fails, I think that's the sign that the town just needs to shrink its budget and shrink its operations dramatically. And if we are throwing a lot of free cash at programs and staff that we just won't be able to support in the long run, we're throwing good money after bad and just digging a deeper hole for ourselves. So we have to be prepared to pivot and turn around and shrink if we don't get the support for the override that we need. So I agree it's intellectually dishonest to say we wouldn't get any free cash out of town meeting, but I wouldn't risk expecting anything more than 4 million. I'd probably feel more comfortable around 3, but I don't feel so strongly about it one way or the other, even though I understand that could be somewhere between 12 and 15 teachers, or who knows how many people here in town hall. But I think it nonetheless is the step we have to take and sends the message that we need to send.
Okay.
So to me, I think that our job is to give town meeting, which is going to be the decider, a reasonable roadmap of what to expect from us, and assuming the school committee adopts sort of the similar number, which my sense is they are looking to us from guidance. So I agree there is a big difference between the two, but I think going with a narrow range is probably, for Monday's purpose, where we're communicating the stakes of what we would expect to see happen if we didn't have an override. I think, to me, that's a reasonable range, rather than trying to pin to a single number.
What range? Like 3 to 4 or 2 to 4?
I would say 3 to 4, but I don't. It seems like Mike said 3 to 4. I think I said 3 to 4. It seems like that's.
Yeah, there, you get your 3 votes right there.
Yeah.
Anthea and I could just say nothing.
I
What's
think
the amount of the reversions that you have in your model, the reversions that would
1.2?
also be added to the 3 to 4? So the free cash ask would be 5 or 6, really, because the reversions are not a funding source, that's a free cash source. It's just the idea is that it will be replenished when we close the year.
Yep. Is it
So the free
1.8?
cash going to town meeting would be more like
Over and above.
6.
2.1.
Okay.
2.1 of free cash, because we took our
This,
free
just
cash.
add the 2.1 to these, and that's what town meeting's going to see as a
Sure,
free cash.
sure, but this is for planning purposes, because so just to answer, so the free cash, we took to 1.25%, the reversions, we took to 1.25%. You told me to keep it between 1 and 1.5. We had historically modeled it at 1. That was a conversation we all had here.
I just want everyone to know that it's not going to town meeting with 3 to 4, it's now
Yes.
5 to 6.
Yep, because you're going to roll that in.
Yeah.
Because that's, yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's a free cash source.
And I think the last thing I would say too is that this keeps us, within our healthy operating reserve policy range as well, right?
Yeah,
So.
it should.
For a year. Yeah.
For a year, that's right, for a year.
The end of FY '26 will still be within the range.
And I think Mike's point is, at the end of FY '27, we would even still be within
Yes.
the range. It's just then.
Current range.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, but it would still be in the 14 range. So I agree with Mike's comment. I think then you have to decide, this is your comment, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that it's a broader conversation so I think I'm at 4 million only in that. We did 3.5 last year with some overlay. We have a bigger budget. We have a bigger deficit. I'm at 4 million. If the group says we're at 3 to 4 million, so be it. And we know this is it's an intellectual exercise. You have to balance a budget. The manager has to build a budget with some assumptions. FinCom will get it. Town meeting will get it. There'll be a number. On the day that the budget gets voted in May, it will have a deficit of X. It will be filled with Y amount of free cash. Then June will roll around and local receipts will come in and the state budget will get finalized in July and we may get a $300,000 Chapter 70 bump, we may get a roads and sidewalk bump, we may get a motor vehicle bump. The practical $3.5 million that we voted for, town meeting voted for in the spring, wound up being like, at the end of the day, 2 point what of actual free cash use? 2.3, 2.4, right?
Yep.
So we had a $3.5 million vote to fill the gap. It wound up being $1 million less of what was needed to seed those budgets on July 1. So we can say 4 million now and say at the end of the day, it might actually be functionally 3 million.
Yeah. Might even
Which is
be
why I
less.
think we could feel comfortable being a little bit, more solid at that $4 million range because it's the day that you vote it and then the books close. And to open up on July 1, you have to seed budgets. But we had some, not just investment income, let's be clear, we talk about that, it was certainly a windfall, but we had some local receipts, 2 different parts of state aid that came in more favorably. So when it came down to it, we only depleted our savings by $2.5 million, not $3.5 million.
Correct, yep.
So,
Hopefully it'll be the same this year where we've got more than what we're estimating.
right. So that's why I feel like, and to Mike and Paris's point, it still keeps us within our range of 14 or 15%. We don't know how it's going to play out at town meeting. FinCom and the town meeting will have the ultimate say, but I think that $4 million number is both, I wouldn't want to go to 5 and 5.5. I think that's also fiscally irresponsible to close the entire gap with free cash. That leaves us nothing. But that's where I'm at. And the last thing I'll say, and then Anthony, I'm going to go to you, is the school budget for next year is still at that 5%. That's the assumption. I think they're still working on, when we look at the override, which is, I know that's more of a Monday or next week conversation, the override number, they're still working on that, the one-time ask piece, which is, growth, and then what are the strategic adds, and which of those are 1 year, 2 years, one-time spends versus what's going to bake into the overall budget. It sounds like they're going to be voting on that tomorrow, and that will give us a little more. Thursday. Today's only Tuesday?
Their budget's up this tomorrow, their meeting.
I thought today was Wednesday. There you go. Anyway, that's still to come, but that's not tonight's conversation. So, Anthea, let me turn to you and see if you have a different, well, not that you have a different opinion. You have an opinion. Please share it. It could be the same, but please share it.
I have an opinion. I am walking into the building right now, so if you want to
Okay,
chat for 45 more seconds, I will.
That's fine.
It'd be easier to just.
you can hang.
I have one point I can make. It's in relation to the school's point. While
Yeah.
you want to wait. So one thing that I think this group is going to want to see, and I just want to make sure this group wants to see it, is on exactly what Michelle just said. So, I talked to the superintendent and the school committee, state of the town reps, multiple times since our meeting last week, and I think where we are, this is going to buzz, by the way.
This is going to, yep. And I just hit green, right?
So I think where we are,
If you were not expecting this call, please hang up. Otherwise, press thank you.
is
Thanks,
that,
Chris.
and they haven't given me the final numbers, but that one-time number is going to go up slightly, but then the recurring number is going to go down.
Okay.
And it will, because a dollar of recurring is worth a lot more than one-time dollar, it'll actually make a difference. This isn't the strategic ads, to be clear. It's not in level services. This is the curriculum and math
Right.
and literacy stuff. But I think the group will want to see a refreshed set of numbers next week around the bottom line operating
I agree.
ratios, because that's a big. I mean, their numbers are candidly larger than ours by at least a multiple of 2. And so I think that it actually will be important for the group to see that. So
Okay.
I just wanted to give everyone that.
And
update.
they'll do that Thursday. Today is only Tuesday. Thank
They'll
you
do
for
it
that
Thursday.
correction.
So I think they're still finalizing their numbers, but I think then we can talk about it before we vote.
Okay. So for WinCam and for purposes of folks, Chris, can you turn that screen just a little bit towards the camera? I just want folks at home, if they're recording this, to want to see a little bit of, turn it that way, yep, toward our camera. We're almost done with this part of our debate, but at least you can see some of the assumptions that we're looking at.
We have the other items on there too.
Yep, we do. And Anthea, while Paris pulls it up, why don't you share
Thank
with
you
us
for letting me
where
catch
you're
my
at?
breath from climbing up a couple of flights of stairs. I think I more or less agree with everyone. I would be maybe closer to 3 million for a specific reason, which you might have been talking about as I walked up, is I think committing to that literacy piece is really important, and that is going to be, a separate ask at town meeting. So making sure that we can continue that commitment as well, which is going to be between $500,000 and $1 million of free cash for curriculum and PD. In terms of sort of next steps, I think anywhere, we're sort of landing in the same place, but is also to think about with the town manager's budget and the school's budget is then to take, like, if we were to say $3 million of free cash, what are the things, like, in the next $1 million that we can then look at and say what's critical, what's important? Are there some efficiencies if we fund 3.4 million and we get sort of a better return on investment of those dollars? So just sort of something to think about in the budget preparation and design of, like, if we have to cut X amount, what are the things that could be added back in that provide greater efficiencies than the cut dollar.
So do people want to continue to debate this, or it sounds like we've landed mainly in the same places? Do we want to just make a motion to give Chris some direction on the preparation of his budget, and we can communicate back to the schools?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Makes sense.
I'm happy to do that. Why don't we do that? And then I have a question about the implications of this, because it's for his budget, but it's also we should talk about, and maybe it's a segue to the next conversation, which is what we're presenting on Monday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's. Anyone can
I
make
would
that
move
motion.
that we direct the town manager and ask the town manager to communicate to the superintendent that the select board would intend to bring forward a combined budget that utilizes $3 to $4 million of free cash for the FY27 budget, $3 to $4 million being inclusive of both the municipal and the WPS budget.
Second.
So friendly amendment to that would be for a budget for Springtown meeting if the override does not pass.
Correct.
Correct. To build the FY27 budget with that assumption, I think is the way to think about it.
Well, it's a very good amendment. So why don't we pause and talk about it? So we are going to use that as this is where what I was asking last week, right? Which is, I think we need 2 budgets, right? We need one if the override passes and one if it doesn't. I mean, certainly schools is going to have a wide gap between the two, right? I mean, they're looking at 3 to 3.8% growth if it doesn't pass. And if it is passing, I mean, the number they had at their table was meaningfully higher than 5.
Right, but we're not asking the town manager to develop his budget by February 15th, his February 15th budget that is specifically a budget using $3 million of free cash.
I think he has to do
Or-
both.
Yes, so this is a key question, right? Which is, I think there's one budget that's the muni budget would grow at 1 to 1.8%, right? That's if the override fails. If the override passes, it's the 3% level services plus some number of the strategic additions, right? And it could be all of them, but I think we've always seen that number as we're probably going to fund some of them. And that's a debate for the select board to have with the town manager. So, I mean, given that if level service is at 3 and we have one budget that's in the 1s and one budget that's probably in the 4s, to me, those are distinct. So what is the motion we're making? Is it to me, this is directing the town manager to create a no override budget and ask the school
Correct.
committee to do the same. That burns 3 to 4 million of free cash.
I agree with that.
Yep.
Okay, so if that's what we all understand the motion to be, which I think we do, any additional debate? Okay, all those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Just, Chris, do you understand what's going on?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
There's no override budget, and then there is an override budget.
Yeah.
Just want to be sure. He's new.
So,
Override budget
Keeps
is
up pretty
still-
well.
That's a conversation
yes,
for the future.
correct. Well, it's a conversation for next week.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Monday.
Yeah.
And then I think we need to talk about next week, which if we expect the manager to deliver a budget when we've settled on an override figure, and he has to look at certain asks municipal, you should still be doing so. But, and maybe we need to give you an extra day of grace, but we can communicate that to FinCom if need be.
Give like 2 days.
Let's be.
But let's talk about Monday.
Stacy,
15th
what's the
is
problem? We have 2
Monday.
days.
Well, to cut everyone's budget down to 1% and unallocated, so we have some work to do.
Bingo. So what is staring us, and Michelle and I didn't hyperventilate on the phone today, but I think we were both holding it in, is like, we have Monday staring us in the face here, right?
Yes.
And so we have to stand up in front of 200 people, plus our residents who show up at 8 p.m. and have a coherent perspective to share with them. And so I'll go to this page. So we have 2 sessions, right? And this is a shot at it. The moderator, Michelle, I think had said, what I think he had said 5 to 6 minutes to you. Is that right?
So that's all right. I think it's 5 to 7, 5 to 6,
Try to get everything done in about
about
half an hour.
30, 35 minutes. Yeah.
So this is an attempt to get it all done in a half an hour, right? And this is roughly what they did last time, but it was a little different.
42 slides later.
Not 42 slides.
But roughly the same messaging. I think that's right.
Our dear former select board chair, who's many decades of consulting, that's 40 slides, yeah. So we would have one person to kick off. This is just an idea, so this is all up to this board's decision. So I put it down after Michelle and I spoke.
We did.
I put it down following the 2 of us talking to get everyone's feedback on it. So please opine actively. So one person would talk about, what Michelle has largely been doing during the briefings. What is the state of Winchester? What's our strengths? What's our fiscal challenges? What's the state of the town? The background, the work that we did, and that would be kind of the introduction. And then the second section would be here is the approach we took for level services for schools and strategic additions for schools, similar on the muni side. And so this would probably have to be done with the school's speaker side by side. And then from there, the select board member can talk about the override sizing, which is, what are the operating ratios, where are we in terms of the range, and then the implications for people's tax bills. The third section, I don't think it needs to be 7 minutes for that, is the CPC chair, who I believe said that he would be representing CPC. And then the no override scenario would be, again, probably that school speaker, whether that's superintendent or school committee member, combined with our town manager, talking about here's the implications of if we don't have an override. We just voted the 3 to 4 million, assuming schools accepts that on Thursday. It would just be both sides standing up and saying, here's the types of cuts we would make if we didn't have that.
Are you good with that? Chris, just starting at the bottom, are you good with that town manager assignment? Seems like it's your budget, so you might be able to speak to where you think you'd figure that piece out. Okay.
So that's, Stacy, what you were just talking about, right? If you had to bring it in at that level, where would it come from? And I'm not sure that you have to, if you look at what the town manager and the superintendent did last time and what I understand the school committee to be likely doing, I don't think it has to be, it will be X. I think it could be X or Y.
Yeah, we would look to these places, I think. It
Yeah.
can be slightly broad.
Show
if it's-
options, yeah.
Yeah, if it's, 12 teachers or 12 people making $80,000 across, the school enterprise. If it's X people, we don't need to necessarily put roles, but broadly
Yeah,
where you
it could be DPW and fire, and here's what it would look like in fire, here's what it would look like in DPW. Because ultimately, that is going to be something we would have to deal with on the other side, right?
Yep. So I'm sorry to start there, but I want to make sure that, because Chris was not part of the conversation, Paris and I had, and we were thinking
Right.
about these speaking roles, so I wanted to make sure that,
And
and other
we-
than you saw these slides this afternoon like everybody else did,
Yeah.
wanted to make sure you're good with that one, and then let's go to the top, but,
Well, I think that's important because that's the hardest one, right? Because Chris is,
because we're giving it to you.
because we're giving it to you and you've been here 3
That's why I'm
weeks.
starting.
The other parts, frankly, we've been talking about for so long.
Correct.
That, Michelle and I have presented 1 and 2 4 times or
Four
3
times.
times already, right? So,
Yeah.
so I'm not as worried about 1 and 2, and Roger can do 3 in his sleep, I think. It's really 4, that's the tricky one. So, I don't know, Michelle, if you had a view on it, I mean, Michelle and I did a briefing last night, one night last week, we're doing one tomorrow. If the group's comfortable, I think as the chair and vice chair of the state of the town, we're the logical folks. And Michelle's been covering more Category 1 topics. I've been covering slightly more Category 2, though it's a little bit mixed up versus the briefings.
Makes sense to me. Thank you, guys.
No objection.
All right, that was easy.
I think,
Michelle,
I was
do you have an
waiting for someone
objection?
to like raise their hand, but that's
I,
okay.
I would say the only thing is like, I would suggest that category 1 could maybe be maybe it doesn't need to be 5 minutes because it's for town meeting.
Yep.
They have the report.
Correct.
And maybe they've attended a hearing, but I think that would be, like the area where you could trim 45
Yeah.
seconds and,
I think what we'll
It sums up to 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah,
though, so
and
it's-
I agree with you, and I think, Paris, what we might do is pull in some of this, why do we need an override, which is a little bit of like, where are we now, which is kind of later in the deck. Maybe I'll pull that into my intro before we get into like the level services, but we'll
Yeah.
take a couple of those and push them up to that. I still think we can probably shrink a minute and a half.
5 minutes is
No,
not a
it's-
lot of time, when you're up
fast.
there.
Yeah.
It's for what you're covering, and to a lot of people there, it will be their first introduction to it.
Yeah.
Especially other people in the audience that are coming.
I think
So I
I'll
agree
spend-
with Mike, and that's why it sums up to 20 to 25, which is if Phil said we can go to 30, if you run a minute or two over somebody else, like we have flags.
Yes.
Right? So-
Yeah, I can probably, but to your point, which is absolutely right, I think we can spend a little less time with State of the Town because people have the report, they've seen the report, they have our letter, maybe a little bit more about where we are, where we think we are with structural deficit, how we got here a little bit, pull that kind of toward the why do we need an override, pull that into more of the intro, and then get into some of the details. But you and I can.
And town meeting heard some of this back in the fall when we told, gave them our update. So, I mean, the most important bullets are going to be the override sizing, the tax implications, and the no override scenario. That's what everyone's waiting to hear.
Yep.
So the quicker you guys can get there, the more people are going to be.
So I think it's all important, but I would agree number 4 is the one that TMMA briefings won't have covered.
Correct.
yep.
TMMA briefings will have gone pretty good on 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Will any other boards or committees be called on to a
FinCom.
recommendation?
Oh,
FinCom.
FinCom is the one that we discussed with the moderator. I've not, I can check back with him if anyone else expects to opine, but the only one I think he intends to call on, like he would with a lot of financial things, is FinCom, but that's a fair question. I'm not aware of others. No one said, hey, we want time on the agenda, and it's not that we've been hiding this town meeting
Right.
from public view.
Planning board has said unofficially they're not going to apply.
Okay,
Makes
I hadn't
sense.
heard that.
Unofficially, so we should confer that with Brian.
But
But
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering, because like,
That's time.
or it's time.
Yeah.
Exactly, it's time.
So planning
School
board
committee
is
and
not
CPC are
official.
presenting with us.
Right,
So then it's really just FinCom.
yeah.
And they were involved in the State of the Town Committee, at least a good number of representatives.
That's true. So if planning board doesn't wish to, and those are the only other two committees that were part of State of the Town consistently, were FinCom reps and planning board reps. And if planning board says we don't feel strongly, then maybe that's as broad as we'd expect
It's
to hear
just
anyway.
not it's not, I mean, this isn't their core domain in the same way it is FinCom or school committees or CPC.
Yeah.
But you guys are going to go longer than 25 minutes, and there's going to be questions.
Well, Michelle and I said 25 minutes on night one of TMMA, and I think we got to 50, so.
We did better. We're shrinking some.
Getting shorter.
Got a little bit shorter last night.
We did get short last night. So then.
We got a little ways to go.
Yeah, so
And we
then,
weren't sharing time, let's be clear, with the schools.
We were not sharing time with schools, yeah.
So going back to, sorry, just to go back to that, I think we should ask Dr. Hackett to speak
I agree.
as the
opposed to-
schools, as opposed to.
Yes,
I
as
think we
opposed to,
leave,
Superintendent's budget,
as opposed to a
right?
committee member.
Yeah.
I think we leave that to them. It's their,
I think we can ask,
them.
though. Yeah.
for sure.
Jinx.
Can ask them.
Well, I think, certainly, I think on both sides, level services, but also the implications piece. It's the town manager's budget, which the superintendent owes the manager a budget, right, to be able to do so. I mean, you two are going to be the ones sort of structuring things and dealing with things. I think it's a reasonable ask.
So the other
They
question,
can say no, to Bill's point,
so
though.
they're standing up twice, right? So one is likely with me. Is that, or do you think Frank stands up both times? Or the second one's with Chris, that's, I think if you were to split them, it would be a committee member the first time, the superintendent the second time. Or do you think the superintendent both times?
If they have 2 minutes to speak, I think the superintendent is the most succinct in communicating that information. I'm trying to say that
Okay, so there's-
he will be tight on time, and I would like us to ask him to help be tight on
Well,
time.
I think three of you have said that, so that's what we'll do. We'll ask the superintendent. We'll say the
I
select
think
board
they
has asked
can-
the superintendent.
They can say no, but I think knowing the content that they're going to give,
I think Michelle and Mike agreed with you, so we'll tell them that.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's three people. Okay. So, so then, and then, it's a request, just to be clear, right?
right,
Okay.
right.
It's a request.
It's a request that the superintendent is available to speak on it.
And I think available as well, I'll communicate with them after this, also available for questions, even if it splits, if they choose to, but at least sitting through, and the public hearing piece, because I agree, TMMA has seen this briefing now, if they've listened and watched and recorded it, but from the summer to now, we're on 7 of these, 6-ish?
7. 8,
But-
8 tomorrow.
But your public hasn't. So I think for the superintendent, whoever does the speaking roles, but to be in the room to answer questions as well from people, from public who may wander in. Okay, we'll make that ask. Now we've moved to the public session of the meeting.
So this is 8 p.m. And again, this is the conversation Michelle and I had, I think it was yesterday, which is, so we have, much more of a structured, presentation for town meeting. My understanding, and we should clarify this with, so I think, so one other thing, this little bullet up here, I think we probably need to huddle with the moderator and with the school speaker and with Roger.
Agreed.
On Friday. Okay, so I'll try to get together a meeting on that. All right, so that's good. Because I think one key question is going to be, so we all stand up and present for 5 minutes each, roughly. It's been 30-ish minutes, 35 minutes, and then we sit down. Article 1 is non-debatable, so people can stand up and I believe only ask questions about what does that number mean. They can't stand up and opine on their views on the number's too high, the number's too low, whatever, right?
Yep.
So that's, so from 7:35 to 8, all we can do is take technical questions from town meeting. Then at 8, we now have an opportunity, now it's our meeting, it's a public session, to do whatever we want. Town meeting adjourns, we can do whatever we want. So Michelle and I were talking about this. The problem is there's going to be members of the public who don't arrive at 7. So our thinking is, do we give like a brief encore for like 15 minutes? And then at 8:15, 8:20, we open it up for both questions and comments.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, and I was on an earlier call just around some planning of this with the moderator. That like 25 to 30 minutes for town meeting member questions is probably pretty short. If we give everyone, right, he said we'll cap it at 3 minutes for each speaker, they're going to ask questions that are going to get a response. That's like maybe 5 people talking.
But they can only ask questions, they can't debate.
They can ask a question, but it gets answered.
3-minute long question.
You've been at town meeting. Sorry. You've been there before. You will have a 3-minute long question.
They'll all be the same questions.
Yeah. So I think the question that I asked at the time was, that gives a handful of people time.
Yep.
Once we start the public hearing, do we say to folks from town meeting, we're transitioning to the public hearing, we're going to do a short presentation to reset the table for everyone who's arriving, and then we've noted,
Who's in line.
X, Y, and Z people are in line, that they will then be able to ask their questions at the start of the public hearing, and just to prioritize their questions from the town meeting.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
the moderator wants, it's a fair point, is do we just roll into it? Town meeting will want to adjourn, and those who want to leave will want to leave. And to Anthony's point, if it's 8:10, if it's 8:15, give us some grace. We'll take note of who's in line. If anybody else in the public needs to wander in, and we'll start, and then they can know, you're going to hear this again. It's going to take 15 minutes, so feel free to take a 10-minute break and come back. But your question, we'll call on folks in line.
Yeah,
And-
we'll just jot down, I think we'll
Yes.
just jot down the town meeting members who got
Right.
called time on, and we'll call on them first.
Right, because we don't want to drag on the town meeting too long if people are like, when can we be done? And because they're members of the public and they can ask those questions in that setting.
And then the 8 o'clock hearing, we can just moderate as we do the TMMA hearings. We'll just call on people and
Yeah,
have a sort of more of a dialogue, and they can make editorial comments then.
sure.
I'm sure they will. Okay. So then
All right, so then we're kind of good on that then.
yeah, I think we're good on that. Last
Is
point.
there an end time to the public meeting?
No.
We've not published one.
10 p.m.
Public hearing.
Public hearing, we
Is it
could
10
say,
p.m.?
we could say 10 PM. We could say at the opening that's our hope. We could say 9:30.
Until they turn
We
off
should-
lights.
Well, we should try to set a limit. We've not advertised it. But
People
we
will
can-
start leaving.
We can certainly shoot to adjourn at that point. And someone can be a timekeeper to say, hey, we're trying to leave, get in line, or we're trying to get out, we're trying to leave at 10.
We haven't advertised any endpoints
We
on
have not.
anything, and we haven't had much of a problem with it.
Also true, but it's a good question from Bill. Let's just see how big the public is that shows up as well. The moderator is also thinking if town meeting members, you could, not that we're going to take clicker votes, maybe other than present, we could have lanyards to identify town meeting members, public could sit somewhere else. Like, we could have a sense of who the audience is as they're coming in, or we could have them segregated in a certain part of the auditorium to see. And if we think that that's the audience that we have, we may have a sense of how many questions we could anticipate, but we're not going to know that until it rolls out.
Yeah, I agree.
But we should maybe try to at least socialize an endpoint.
Yeah. And the moderator is not, he's intending to adjourn town meeting
Adjourn
at 8, and he's done.
Probably go sit somewhere.
Go sit in the audience. Great. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last point. It's a calendar. Good news. The yellow continues to move down the page. So we just talked about free cash and approach to town meeting. We have Michelle and I have a briefing tomorrow. It's the second TMMA session, and then we have Monday. The question I have, well, 2 questions. One is, which date next week? I think, Michelle, we were talking about that. It could be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, 2:11 to 2:13, to set that. Friday doesn't work well for me, but others can weigh in on what works for them. But the other one that Michelle and I had a view on that we just wanted to make sure the board hears is Tuesday, 2:10, which will be info session 4 in addition to the public hearing and special town meeting. Strikes us as probably not going to get much attendance. The chamber and the network kind of told us as much.
Yep. And trying to display those slides, which are kind of crucial to the presentation, in a restaurant or bar seems pragmatically difficult and really takes away from the emphasis and,
Not all that fun.
yeah.
We'd probably have to have handouts at a table, but to the point of, we're not sure who's coming.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely true point, but it will always be like, you flip through this deck, and at the same time, we're not sure who's coming, because
Yeah.
no one has hit up me to say, where is this? I see it's advertised, where am I going to convene? I've not got a single question on where should I show up on the 10th, not one.
And I think that we have tons of time until March 21st to explain the number we voted to the voters, right? And we can do that in a variety of forums. The purpose of the pre-vote meetings is to get feedback. And I think we got 45 town meeting members, very, very engaged it's some of the most engaged town meeting members. We had another half a dozen last night, including former select board members. And then we have tomorrow, and we have our big session Monday. So it strikes me that people who have a lot of feedback to give us probably will have gotten it by that point. So I'd be in favor of canceling
If
too.
we want to cancel, and we should probably take a official vote on it, we just need to maybe, Chris, work with pushing some information out that this would be canceled, and we would encourage people to show up on the 9th. I'd want to get ahead of that messaging.
Motion to cancel the February 10th info session planned for a restaurant in town center.
That didn't take
Second.
long. There's already a second, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we work with Jen tomorrow? I'll communicate with the TMMA and whoever else to just encourage people to come on the 9th to McCall. It's not going to be the high school, it's at McCall. Public session starts at 8. Okay.
Can we also have the clerk just email the
Town meeting members?
warrant and the like little background session? It's on the town meeting website. It's obviously been mailed to people, but I just want. There it is.
Oh.
I think there's town meeting members who
I must be arriving.
don't check their snail mail and aren't paying attention. And so I think if we just get a town clerk blast to all 192 members to say, friendly reminder, there's a special town meeting Monday.
And it's friendly.
And here are the
amendment
two
to that.
attachments.
And it's
The
at
subject
McCall.
line needs to be, it's at McCall, because I've already had a number of people say,
Correct.
can't wait to see it at the high school.
It's at
And
McCall.
I'm like, no, at
With the
McCall.
FAFSA
Some
info
signs at the
session.
door at the high school.
There will be. No, it's true.
True.
Because there's a big session occurring in the auditorium at the high school for like school reasons. So
Yes.
it's going to confuse.
Financial aid for college.
Yeah.
So if I could just I was talking to Mary Ellen earlier tonight, and she's arranging for shuttles for people to park here and bring them to McCall, because parking up there is not so great, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's being arranged, and also guides in the school, because I understand the school's a little more challenging to navigate. So she's trying to arrange some honor students to help point people to where they need to go.
And get a couple at the high school.
So we also have our kind of digital board that, we kind of put out on the street
yeah,
there.
kind of by Stop and
it
Shop.
might be good just for anybody, and they
Yeah,
can just be like,
DPW.
McCall tonight,
Maybe start flashing it Saturday, Sunday, certainly Sunday.
And maybe the one at the
Transfer station.
transfer station, to say, like, public hearing?
But the baseline one to me is the email to town meeting members, because
Yeah.
granted, the warrant probably hit people's mailboxes today, but
I
people.
think she emails them anyway, I think. But
Thank you.
to do it again doesn't hurt.
She emails us for normal town meetings, yes, just to make sure it also goes out for this one.
So, last thing, if we're done with this, I have one more item
Yep,
of
I think we're
business.
good. Thanks.
Give that to Bill. So we may need to, well, actually, we're not done yet. Let's figure out what we're going to do on our final vote, because this next memo might be another
Oh,
quick meeting on
next
Friday.
time.
Next week, sorry, we didn't finish our second to last item there, Paris, which is to vote a final number after Monday. Friday is not preferable for some of the members, Wednesday or Thursday, to vote our final ballot question. Do people have a strong preference on Wednesday or Thursday? We should probably try to do it in person if we can. If we cannot, we still need to do it. But what do people think?
Wednesday in the evening would be better for me than just about any time on Thursday, I think.
We're talking about an evening session?
I
If we're doing
wasn't sure. I
in-person.
was actually thinking a morning session.
Oh, morning session?
If we could.
What
but
day are you looking at?
Wednesday or Thursday. But we can do whatever. We could do 4 in the afternoon. We could do what can work.
I could do Wednesday, period.
If we're doing it on Wednesday, it's got to be at like 7 a.m. for me.
Okay, well, it's not going to be at 7 a.m.
Or it's going
I
to be at
can't
like
do it 7 a.m.
7:30 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the
Thursday?
evening is preferable for me on either days. I'm just,
Oh, I guess I should check my home
Can we look at
calendar.
Thursday?
Thursday the 12th, I'm pretty open, but
I'm fine for an evening session. Thursday I can't do an afternoon session or a morning session, but I could do Thursday evening or Wednesday really anytime.
Okay.
Let me confirm. I cannot do Thursday during the day. I could do Thursday after 5:30 or 6.
After 5:30
I think,
or
I'm just checking with my.
Wednesday works for you?
Oh, right.
Not,
thank you.
it has to be super early or super late.
But super late's like, our 7:30 is our normal time.
That's even at risk.
Okay.
Like,
Thursday's safer for you, Bill, it sounds like. Thursday's safer for you?
oh, very safe.
Well, okay. Just easier to fit in on Thursday than
Is
trying
there
to
any
shoehorn
world,
Wednesday.
is there any world in which we would need a second session, in which case Wednesday evening, at least in theory, allows us to meet on
No.
Friday? Okay, all right, that's clear.
I like that.
I think we all need to
I like
just,
that definitiveness.
I mean, we've been talking about this for months.
Okay, so then, looking at Thursday, the 12th, what can work for people? You said nothing before 6:30, Anthea?
Yes, I think so.
What are you saying?
I feel like there's something I'm missing on my calendar, but.
We can always backtrack if there is.
Why don't we tentative?
7 Thursday,
Found me.
PM?
Yeah, anything after 6 or so should be okay with me on Thursday.
We'll see if
Mike,
WinCam
did you say
can
late,
accommodate
though?
us.
Any time in the evening on Thursday is fine with me.
Can we
It could be
check
earlier.
Thursdays,
Or-
anytime.
Yeah.
I think we're landing around 7 or 7:30. Why don't you just do 7? We're gonna hold for 7. How's that? And if WinCam says I can get there at 7:30, if WinCam says I can't get there, we'll have to figure out and pivot, but, okay. I realized we had not gotten to that. So, the other thing then, moving on from our public hearing and our budget summit and our free cash use, we have a memo from the Winchester School of Chinese Culture asking us, and we are not noticed for this, so I don't want to debate it necessarily, but we could do a quick Zoom meeting by the end of the week. There's Lunar New Year celebration on Sunday. There's a memo to us asking for some sponsorship from the town to be able to grab some resources like WinCam to be able to work with them to broadcast the event. So this hit my radar on Sunday with a follow-up on Monday from Way, and now it's in writing for us. We can notice something, try to quickly discuss and approve. It's not quite a consent agenda item. It's truly being able to have WinCam and other resources available to support this event on Sunday so that we can use the auditorium, we can use the resources and technology at the auditorium, and the town wants to put kind of its stamp behind it. So that's the memo. We don't need to debate it more, but maybe I'll look for folks to see if we can jump on a quick call. And Mike, I know you spoke to Way, I spoke to Way.
Yep.
I don't know if there's any more you want to add. We can leave it for the debate when we have it, but anything more you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the right thing for us to do to be a part of this great event. I think all of us have attended over the years, and it's really such a fixture here that it would be great for us to be a part of it and for the community as a whole for it to be a town co-sponsored event. I think the Network for Social Justice is also a co-sponsor of it. So,
Okay.
Can we get a list of all the other events of this nature that we've sponsored? Because I understand there have been requests in the past that were denied. For example, Pride Fest, and I think we just need to be consistent with what we do.
we have sponsored Pride Fest in the past.
And I've been told that we've rejected that, too. So that's why I'm asking for documentation, so that,
Not since I've been here.
that's
yeah.
contrary to what I was told, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just
Well,
asking.
I don't want to argue. I just.
I know, neither do I.
Yeah.
I want to be consistent, and I want to see
So let's,
documentation.
And is the school committee also, because it's in their space, going to co-sponsor? By the way, I'm hugely supportive. It's just a question.
What?
I think that they might be able to add it to their Thursday agenda if we pass it.
They're certainly very involved.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
on it.
If we pass it like now.
right now.
We just can't vote on it right now, though.
Well, we didn't notice it because I didn't know about it till like Sunday evening, and then Monday morning I got,
Yeah, well, the schools have a space rental policy that That's
Oh,
fine
yeah,
for
that- I
anybody.
think that details are run, I think
Do
that
we need
detail is
to-
done, but
All right.
let me just forward this to the chair,
I'm
vice chair.
happy to meet Friday
Lieutenant.
for 5 minutes to vote on
Yeah,
let
it
me
could be a
forward
Zoom
this.
meeting, right?
it, if we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's any way to delegate it to the chair or Chris, I'm fine with that too.
Just
I
to,
don't know if there is.
All right,
I mean, we can see if there is.
That's
We
fine.
can do some
Don't-
research.
don't
But I'm going to
waste-
send this to
don't
Karen
waste
and Tim and Dr. Hackett right now.
just to Bill's point, I think there had previously been some communication around policy, and if, if we have a specific policy, we may want to just work with the town manager's office to revisit what that looks like and how it, like what sponsorship versus, there were some like insurance things related, so,
Yep.
so just to kind of be able to clean that up, so we're not like getting into, like purely legal insurance things that are holding up our, participation in community events.
Okay. That was my last bit of kind of walk-on business. Shoot, now where's the attachment? When I go
What time do you
forward
wanna meet
it? It's-
Friday?
It's gone. Can we do 8:30?
Can we do 8:40?
I will always defer to you.
Sorry.
Fine, no. I was thinking on the earlier side, that's all.
I have only a few more months of this. But if we could just do it.
Then Michelle, why don't you and I exchange times with the school committee and the moderator about the paddle, and Chris?
Yes. I'm trying to download this and attach it because my attachment is not forwarding, but that's how I received this memo, so, okay. It's fine.
I'll ask.
All right.
Maybe 9 a.m. will work for everybody else.
9 a.m., 8:45, 9?
Well, why don't we do 8:45 and then we could try to huddle with the others at 9?
Yes. Okay, so we will ask Patty to notice a 8:45 meeting for us, the select board via Zoom, and I think with that then,
Oh, sorry, I did have a question, and I forgot it. Backing up just to Monday night,
yes.
will we have, this will be recorded, but will anyone be like capturing the questions so that when we come back to discuss on Wednesday, we'll just have kind of a summary of everything that was raised?
You want to?
We'll have
I-
a,
Just volunteer yourself?
I don't. I would like to make a request that we have, I don't know, can we borrow one of Mary Ellen's honors students to take notes? Can the AI take notes?
We'll find somebody to take notes. It's fine.
This is like a dumb
We can pay somebody too if it's, some
question.
overtime or something.
Can we take the YouTube recording and have Gemini summarize the questions?
Sure.
Just like, is that a feasible thing that can happen?
yep.
Okay. I don't like to pour water onto problems, but sometimes.
All right.
So 8:45-ish
Friday,
Friday, that sounds good.
yes.
We should also maybe look back and see how many meetings that we've had this year. It's probably like a record number. Feels like twice as many as
You mean
the past.
in the month of January?
Just through the past year, really. It's
I
been
know.
it's been a lot.
Sounds awful.
I think the problem is when you have state of the town meetings, it gives us another opportunity to put select board
Right.
meetings in front of them.
Yeah, that's right,
and
that's
get
right.
More stuff done.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, with that, then, do we want to have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Be prepared for exec session Monday
Yes,
as
for
well.
me. on that.